Greetings. We are here to describe for you a different kind of a day in the life. We are a group of 7 people in recovery who are here to share with you the truth about a day in the life of real people with mental illness. Unfortunately, many people in society still think of people with mental illness as serial killers or psychopaths. Recent events may not have helped to dispel this prejudice, but to make it worse. But the facts are that everyone in this room right now will have had some experience with mental illness, either in their own lives or in the lives of people they care about, family, friends, co-workers, or people in your church, synagogue, mosque, or neighborhood. Ordinary human beings with ordinary lives who may not end up in the newspaper or on television, but who every day demonstrate courage and perseverance in the face of adversity, worthy of all our admiration and respect.
To learn these stories, and with support from the North Central Regional Mental Health Board, its director Cheryl Breitz, and Larry Davidson from the Yale Program for Recovery and Community Health, we set out to find out what a day in the life was like for real people living with mental illness in Connecticut. We also were interested in finding out what they thought might help them to have the kind of life they wanted to be living. We interviewed 80 people, and we'd like to tell you about some of the things we have learned from them so far. The stories you will be hearing are their stories and in their words.
One thing we learned is that everyone we interviewed was not only a person with mental illness, but, like us, was also a person with hopes, dreams, and interests. My name is Judy Shaw. In addition to being a person in recovery from mental illness, I am the mother of 3 children, Eric, Jesse, and Amy, and grandma to Jackson, Mia, Max, and Jazzy, the loves of my life. I'm the director of this project, which is incredible, because 20 years ago, a psychiatrist said I would never work again. I am a graduate of Trinity College. I'm a poet, a writer, lover of nature, reading, oral history, the arts, and most of all, my wonderful friends. I've always been a social activist concerned with peace and justice. I work on many regional board committees, and I am chairperson of the Cedar Crest Blue Hills Advisory Board.
Another important thing we learned is that we are very good interviewers. People liked being asked about their lives, liked telling us their stories. They too wanted to play a role in improving the mental health system for themselves and for future generations, so that others need not suffer some of the horrors many of us have had to face and to endure. This is what people wanted you to know about a day in their lives and what we can all do to welcome them back from the places where mental illnesses have unwittingly taken them. My name is Selena, and in addition to being a person in recovery from mental illness, I am a mother of a wonderful son, Sean, who is married to my wonderful daughter-in-law, Bleen, and I am the grandmother of a 20-month-old granddaughter, Promise. They are also the loves of my life. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in Social and Cultural Anthropology with a double minor in Sociology and African Studies. I work as an advocate educator and mental health recovery educator. I started a local Greater Hartford chapter of the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, and I am the lead facilitator of its support group. I am both officer and member of numerous consumer advisory councils and disability rights coalitions. I am also a writer, poet, and aspiring guitar player.
Hello, my name is Margaret Sirota. In addition to being a person in recovery from mental illness, I am an artist. I designed the logo for this project. I have a Bachelor of Science in Biology from Union College. My love of the ocean and nature made me strive to be a marine biological illustrator, but that wasn't meant to be. I worked in advertising, and when I wasn't able to continue, I did mental health advocacy and used my artistic skills. I served on CAC 16 and as an advocate, grant leader for developing a trauma program at Intercommunity Mental Health Group. I received the 2009 Ernie Harrion Award for Advocacy. I recently received my Associate of Science degree in Graphic Design and Multimedia. One fellow researcher described me as having a lovely manner, kind, gentle, and sincere, and a great sense of humor, and having found my own voice.
Hello, my name is Paul Gilbo. In addition to being a person in recovery from mental illness, I have a 13-year-old daughter. I have a great love for God, faith, hope, and a love for people in my life today. I've been an advocate for 17 years. I was on the State Mental Health Board and a member of the Review and Evaluation Committee. I've been a professional photographer, and I now have a new business in essential oil candles.
My name is Michael McDermott. In addition to being a person in recovery from mental illness, I am an artist, a law school graduate, and a person who has a lot of interest in current events.
My name is Jim Fazio. In addition to being a person in recovery from mental illness, I am also the chef of the Second Wind Clubhouse. I have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering. I am a member of the Legion of Mary, and I am a licensed amateur radio operator. I volunteer my skills as a radio operator for Windsor Emergency Management.
My name is Carol Gilbert. In addition to being a person in recovery from mental illness, I am a mom, a grandmom. I'm very active into many things. I'm the RCAC chairperson, North Central Regional Mental Health Board CAC 16 member, volunteer leader at Common Ground, member of the Review and Evaluation Committee, and very proud of my most recent accomplishment with my peers. We are all working as researchers for North Central Regional Mental Health Board and Yale University.
You might think that the ravages of mental illness left our lives empty and full of suffering, and we know that there have been times like that. Thankfully, these times don't usually last forever.
When I was homeless, you are very vulnerable when you are out on the streets all day, unless you are maybe at the library, which probably gets old after a while, but you are out on the streets. The tendency is to get picked up by the police or just harassed or robbed or whatever. Beaten up by just people who, even though you might not appear homeless, they can just kind of sense it or whatever. Well, actually, you are a dead giveaway because you are either carrying a bag or you are not dressed too nicely. I was homeless for 3 years. Now I have a place. It's just strange, to be living normal again, to be in a house, a secure house. So I am kind of relearning to be a human, a dweller. See, I do sculpture, and I haven't been carving in years, and I'm trying to get back into it. I do wood carving and stone carving. That is my passion.
Though no longer suffering as much and certainly not empty, many of the folks we interviewed were still having sad and difficult days. What struck us most about these stories were that we were sad, lonely, and poor, weren't we? Our illnesses, the effects and side effects of treatment, and the ever-present specter of stigma made it hard for some of us just to get by. All of us have sad days embedded in our memories.
Do you know how sad it is just to be sick? How sad it is. How really sad it is.
There's really not much in my days. There's not really much I do.
My memory loss. It's scary. I forget a lot of stuff. Names. I was so sick for 5 years in that hospital. I was so sick. I didn't even know we had a war. There was always these new actors. I didn't even know their names. My sister took me on the highway one day, and it was a whole new highway. I had lost so much. It was frightening, very frightening. I don't want to end up in that hospital again. That is a big fear. That is something I don't want to happen.
I have a condition called dysmorphia. It is a distorted vision of myself. I am beyond obesity. I have pores like craters and jaws and dark circles under my eyes down to my nose. It just keeps going. I feel like my head is the size of a baseball and my shoulders are the size of a linebacker. It is just very, very weird. I have no mirrors in the house. I tied open the medicine cabinet. I hate seeing my reflection in the windows. I feel like people are staring at me all the time and can see what I see when I look in the mirror. So I can't be around people for any length of time.
My illness gets in the way. My illness stands in my way because I get sick sometimes and I can't do things.
I never have food, very little. I go to a food store that comes into our neighborhood every other week. There you can live on 3 loaves of bread, a bag of potatoes, and a bag of rice. My eating habits are very poor. Sometimes I go without eating for a long time. I would love to eat fresh, nourishing foods like fruits and vegetables. I dream of them. I can get a piece of watermelon so close to my mouth in my dreams, and then, for some reason, I can't taste it. It's hard to sleep. I'm so hungry sometimes, but mostly I worry about coffee, cigarettes, and my dog. That's my day. That's my night.
Once we found one med, I had to sacrifice any sexuality I ever felt, ever would feel, or feel about myself. There is no femininity left because I had to take mega doses of those medications in order to overcome panic disorder, depression, OCD. Then there is the post-traumatic stress disorder.
Unfortunately, a lot of the problems are with the general public, and it is still very difficult. The way people are nowadays, they don't have any respect for anybody. If they see somebody that is different, it hurts people, and people see it.
Just think about it. If everyone from the agency walked into a restaurant, what would the management think? We know. We are aware of it. I certainly know it. Hand-me-down clothes, everything. It is all there.
Perhaps just as distressing were the losses of family, of friends, of jobs and homes, and of our self-esteem, confidence, and hope.
I have a daughter who is in her 20s. I'm a little upset about it right now because she was raised by her father from the age of 4, and now she lives out of town. She works. It is her birthday this month. Every birthday and holiday, I always send her gifts. I spent a lot of money on gifts for her, and they got sent back to the post office. So I had a confirmation ticket put on them, and I keep calling every day to see if she picked them up. I called the post office one day, and they said they were there. They'll hold them for 10 days. Now it has been 7 days. If she doesn't pick them up, they are going to send them back. I bought her some beautiful gifts. It sounds like I have a lot of money. I am on Social Security. That is all the money I have. And I spent like $300 on her. It took me 3 months to save up the money. And I really put so much attention into what I got for her to show her all the love I have for her. It hurts that she doesn't want her gifts. I am very, very hurt.
I haven't seen my kids since they were 3 and 1 years old because of my illness. I couldn't bear to lose my family. I used to holler and get upset and angry, curl up into a ball.
I was born in Puerto Rico. I never go back to Puerto Rico. I have no friend. I don't know nobody. Yeah, only the lady next to my house, and that is it. I know another guy. Those are the only 2 people I know.
My self-esteem is very low, and gradually, I'm also losing hope. It's happening so slow that I'm sure that it is not something that will be major by the time I die. But I'm losing hope and self-esteem.
I don't know what else to do in this situation except to take my medication, go to the hospital, and lock myself in a room.
It's hard to have a serious mental illness. Let there be no mistake about that. Some of us seem to be really beaten down by it and having a hell of a time getting back up. But others have triumphed in both little and large ways. Many inspired us. Despite our miseries, rising out from underneath them, we seemed to possess an amazing resilience. We were, as many of us said, survivors.
We still wanted more. Like the sculptor, we all had our passions. Despite mental illness, we thought of all kinds of possibilities for our lives.
Everybody has to have a dream, even if it doesn't happen. It keeps you in this real world.
I was a great drummer, played with a lot of bands. Now I'd like to get back into drumming. I'd love to do that.
I want to get a college degree.
I wish I really had my own apartment, my own car. I'd like to strive for that and get a job eventually down the line.
I wish I was back in college, having my own car, spending more time with my dad. My dad's dying.
I'd like to be doing other things with my days. I'd like them to be filled with more activities.
I do have some good feeling. I hope there will be better times for me. I love to do woodworking. I do a garden. If I could change anything in my life, I would buy my health back.
I'd like to see my family more often. I'd like to be able to enjoy nature.
I'd like to be more confident and independent.
I would love to have a day spending time with my niece and go to the park and go down the slide and just anything I can't do now.
There are things in my life I'd like to change. Housing that's in a safer place, which is all consumers want. Health benefits, so that I have a choice of doctors, and that just they say, well, see you, and it's paid for. What I mean is I'd like to be able to work more hours at a job and get my own health insurance instead of just having to go where they take Medicaid and Medicare.
I am just existing, but I want to be a part, to contribute something to this world.
What gets in our way? What keeps so many of us locked inside this misery? In addition to illness, stigma, and losses, we heard about self-blame and paralyzing fear. Many of us have suffered abuse and trauma. Some of us have healed from these experiences, but for others, they are still with us and still affect our daily lives.
I feel that I am stuck.
The fear of failing. I think that is the worst.
I guess just my own outlook on my past of me just being lazy. I should be waking early every morning. I should have had a job.
Unfortunately, I screwed up a lot of opportunities I had.
I'm the problem, and I wish I weren't.
Really, when I think about it, the only one I have to blame is myself for getting into the situation I was in.
If I could improve things in my life right now, I'd like to be working, but I can't work. I can't comprehend. If I read something, I can't remember what I'm reading, so I'm just lost on that.
The only thing that might help me is just take my medicine and not feel so depressed.
I wish I can get up and feel motivated and feel like I have a purpose in life and feel like I am making a difference. My ideal thing is to be at a regular job.
My dream is having a good marriage and maybe adopting some children.
I remember the woman who said, "I have a dream. I would love to be able to go up to Vermont for a couple of weeks. We used to do that when I was a kid. I don't think that my dream is ever going to happen. Right now, I have a hard time seeing that happen." But she didn't say why.
Well, there were other things that got in the way too, like stigma or lack of resources, like money, or something mentioned by almost everyone, a lack of transportation.
I would like my days to be different. Well, I would like to have more activity in my days, because when I don't work here, I stay home. I would like to have a job. I'd like to have maybe a part-time job. Transportation is a big issue.
I have to do on-the-job training or something like that. But I've got no way to get there, no car. Transportation is killing me right now because they took it away and I can't get around.
I learned how to deal with stuff, but then what? You can't go anywhere without money.
I want society to accept me, not put us down. make you feel like you are a problem or something. I'm isolated. I would just like visitors to come and visit me once in a while. I would just like people to like me.
What was really surprising, though, was the number of people who felt like their lives were on hold and who were waiting, just waiting. What are we waiting for?
I don't know how to find my way in the world. They have these places where you can work, but too many of us have disabilities that we either can't find these places, don't even think that they're available, or we can't get out of the house or we're sick. We're disabled for a reason.
At one point in my life, I've owned my own condo. I've had my own business. I've had my own truck. I've had my own motorcycle. And then I got married and lost it all. Right now, at this stage of my life, it's more of a rebuilding game for me.
I just want to learn how to go back to being me.
I have to wait on people to do things. I wish I could speed it up.
I'm ready to change. I just wish that whatever I am going through now, I would hurry up and get it over with. I just wish to God someday I'll be able to deal with the present more than the future. Just want to believe that someday everything will be sort of simplified, more simplified than what it is right now.
I spend a lot of time by myself at home. I'd like to get out a lot more than I am now. But some things take time. I understand that things don't happen overnight. I'm working at someday being able to live as normal a life as anybody else. That's my goal, to be able to live my life just like anybody else. Work, work during the day.
I wish I can get up and feel motivated and feel like I have a purpose in life and feel like I am making a difference. I can get up and be positive and do positive things. Maybe volunteer. I love working with children, and my ideal thing is to be at a regular job. I have a transitional position. I would like to be in a real world and work with children like I did before.
It's like we've been taken to the edge of the world and dropped off.
For these folks, and there were many, there didn't seem to be a map of how to get back from the edge of the earth. Or maybe somebody else had the map and wasn't sharing it.
For some of us, the clubhouse or the clinic was helpful. There, we found encouragement, were offered a map, or found people who could lead us gradually back from the abyss. But this took time. For many of us, it took a very, very long time. Some of us have a hard time trusting people, while for others it seemed like it took the mental health system a long time to respond. In both cases, we were very appreciative.
Like before, I used to never even talk. What was in our house was our business and nobody else's business. It took a long time for me to open up to anyone.
Just now, my memory is starting to come back, and my ability to converse is coming back. For years, I was so exhausted. I was so tired. I was so sick. I was just so sick. I was so sick. I suffered so much. It was just unbearable. It has taken so many years to interact with people again and feel safe again.
When I am on the job, I do my job. I think everybody is capable of doing something. For many years, I did nothing. I was over-medicated and lay on the couch. That is the way I thought my life would always be. Now, the whole thing of mental health is changing. It's really wonderful to see all these changes. Years ago, you didn't have much to look forward to. I thought I would spend the rest of my life in an institution. Now look at what has happened. I had a lot of people who pushed me along the way. I still have issues with self-esteem, but if you have people saying that you can try little things at a time.
There's been a lot of progress in the mental health field. I think that the mental health field has changed. I think it's very pro-client, pro-patient. When I deal with people, I find that they're very concerned. They really want to help you. People say to me, "Why don't you go to school?" I have 60 credits, and I can go to school right now and take a course. I can't do it. I can't ride a bus to community college or tech. I can't go through the crowds on the bus. I know my limits. Staff doesn't push you to do things that you aren't able to do. They help you do things that you can do. They help you find goals. I think that the profession has improved a million times.
As for what helps, I like the clubhouse. I like it just the way it is. I come in here every day and play pool, and I talk with friends, and I don't know what I'd do without it. Well, I do know what I would do. Without it, I'd be home. I'd be isolated, because that's the way I was before I came to the clubhouse. Just isolating in my apartment, I felt like a hermit.
I'm working at bettering myself, bettering my life through the help of the agency. I've been associated with the agency for 25 years. The agency has helped me to not only get back from my mental illness, but to keep on working at recovering, so that someday I will recover, and my life will be as normal as anybody else's life. I'd like to live a normal life too.
Some people saw their own limits as what held them back, but most of us describe mental health services as also pretty limited and limiting. Services were available and helpful in a crisis, but what could move us forward from where we were stuck? When we weren't in a crisis, it seemed like we didn't know what to do. Didn't anybody have ideas or suggestions about what we could do to move forward?
This is the attitude sometimes with mental health. Well, if it is an emergency, you know you just go to the hospital, and if it is not, forget it. I think there should be more of something in between, where yeah, maybe you need to talk to someone and you're upset, but it is not crisis, where you have to go to the emergency room.
In regard to the clubhouse here, it should be called like the graveyard, because it's so boring. There is really nothing, as far as I know, to do there except drinking coffee, just drink coffee and read the paper. Pretty boring.
I have strong feelings about my interactions with my therapist. I think sometimes the pressure, it seems, to get that paperwork in. I think they should teach them more how, yes, they have to do the paperwork, but I think they have to do a little more of interaction with the patient when you are in therapy, because it is supposed to be therapy. It is not supposed to be just a recording. You are not just supposed to come in. You feel like you are going to a detective or something. Come in, write the report, and go. Then, when they sit there most of the time in front of the typewriter, typing, and then they ask you a question, turn around, and then turn around and type again. I don't know, to me it just gets me angry. I mean, I can understand you have to have some documentation, but that kind of interferes with the whole thing, because it is more like, well, come in here, say some things, I record them, and you go.
Even in individual counseling, I don't feel like I'm being helped, because then you can see if someone is really bad. Then you have to put them in the hospital. But what is the sense having all of this knowledge? Sometimes I think you could do better with a person that didn't even have a counseling degree if they were just normal and practical and down to earth. Sometimes I found more help by talking to a relative or something about something, and they just gave me some practical, normal advice.
You want a good job so you can have decent money, so you can just have, not have to worry about money every single second. At least have a basic, decent job. I'm not saying be wealthy, and they look at you like those things are nothing.
The medical model is not helpful for me as far as treating my depression. They say these are your symptoms. We are going to help you lessen the symptoms of your disease. Well, I say to that, how are you going to lessen symptoms of the disease if you don't work on what is causing the disease in the first place? It is like saying to someone with cancer, when they still have a lot of chance left, saying, this is your disease, and these are your symptoms, and we're just going to make you comfortable or something. No, you go after it. You go to chemotherapy, this and that. And then if you can't, that is one thing. This is their mentality. It would be nice if I could kind of be included in the treatment plan. They look at you like you're crazy, like, oh, why do you want to do that?
They don't care about your spirituality, but that's what got me through. I took a chance on trying to trust people. I have never been one to trust anybody. I was a loner all my life. I never could talk at all. And you can't shut me up now. I would just go into a corner. I wouldn't say anything. I was afraid to say anything. I was in my own little world. I was very sick now looking back. I didn't realize that I was as sick as I was. Thank God that I am not sitting down in the back wards somewhere. When I was little, back in the 50s, they didn't have much. I probably would still be in the institution, but I worked through it. I don't know how I did it. God must have helped me.
Spirituality seemed important for most of us. Other things that helped most were caring family or friends, trusting and taking responsibility for ourselves, getting a job, giving back, and having inspiring role models who could show us the way.
I have a lot of faith, a strong belief in a higher power that's there, that loves me unconditionally, even if I don't love myself. So, faith and family support, and eventually learning to love myself will eventually get me to what I want.
My faith helps a lot. It helps me to believe.
I do need friendship. When I was at CVH, a man came there. He was also a preacher. He spoke with me and gave me a little Bible. He prayed with me and he said, "You're not going to be here because I used to be here, and you are not going to be here forever." I didn't know that. I would like to do something like that, do something to give back. I would like to do something, even though it was one day a week.
Nothing can beat the experience when you see people that have had life-threatening things in their lives and lived through it, and be so upbeat and so positive and so happy. That makes me feel good.
I've had so much support from people, just pushing me and pushing me and pushing me, saying, "You can do it, you can do it." People have been there, like I said, through thick and thin, pushing me and pushing me. "You can do it, you can do it, it's okay. You'll get through this," stuff like that.
I'm not still scared, but facing fears throughout my life that I didn't before. Doing something myself on my own that I never accomplished before. That also gives me more confidence. An example would be figuring out I can do something with my hands. I'd have to ask my parents to open a jar or get something off a shelf. You know, trying to do it myself. Doing my laundry on my own instead of when I'm at home, or helping my parents where before they were probably helping me more. They're in their 80s.
The job has helped me a lot because I'm really getting out when before I was like isolating all the time and didn't want to come out.
I have done a lot of this stuff myself and initiated a lot of this. I used to let people hold me by the hand and kind of walk me through it. Now I step up to the plate and I do what I have to do when I have to do it.
After sharing their lives with us, we asked folks about the future. Some of us were afraid.
A lot of things scare me about the future, like finances. Will I have enough money to live on? Should I go back to work full-time? Can I do that full-time? Will I make it? What if my relatives die? What am I going to do? What is the future for me?
What concerns me most is that I'll screw it up.
My biggest fear is, what if I'm homeless? What if life passes me by and I never gave myself the opportunity to change things that make life worth living? That I never did that.
Others of us were confident that things would get better.
I'm going to be completely well. I'm going to be normal. I'm kidding. But you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to get this stuff taken care of now. Don't ever want to go back to where I was.
We also asked folks about what would be helpful. What would we spend our mental health dollars on if we had a choice?
I think some different helping approaches might work. You know how for younger people they like the program Big Brother, Big Sisters? I think there should be a one-on-one companionship kind of thing going on here. One person you could take a walk with who is there in case you panic out, in case you feel claustrophobic, or whatever each other's problem is. But two people that are matched together according to their disabilities or handicaps, that one another can help each other with common interests. They could go for a walk and help each other and go for that walk.
I wish I had a friend that would come by and take me shopping or something, or go out and eat together and have a talk.
Maybe if a family member would come with me like the first few times, just so that I can get accomplished the stuff on my own, because I do not want to be taken by the hand. But I pay this in full, and the months are going by, and I haven't gone.
What would make my life easier is just to have money, yeah. Not having to worry about buying a loaf of bread or what I am going to make my kids for lunch would be such a relief for me.
As far as what could help me, basically just having somebody to talk to, or having somebody to bounce ideas off of, or just having somebody to say, you know something, you're all right. You know, things are going to get better.
Instead of receiving more services, some of us thought that helping others would be the best thing we could do for ourselves. We could be the one listening or telling someone else that things will be okay and that they were okay.
Here's what I'd like to do in the future, you know, to help out. Just to talk with the teenagers about things, dealing with people that are going through some of the same things I do, so it makes it easier for me. Honestly, without the help, I wouldn't be here because I'd be dead. Because I want to let people know what's going on, that we are all equals no matter what we do out there, no matter what color we are or what our lifestyle is, that we are all equal. We just want to live.
What's important to me is working and being happy with who I am and what I am doing. Working is how I'd like to spend my days. Spend my days being happy. I want to be a nurse. It's hard, but it is something I really want. I want my kids to be proud of me, and I want to be able to buy them shoes when they need a pair of shoes. To me, nursing is a part of who I am. It is not just a job, it's the final expression. It's the completion of the process I began.
We learned a lot from these interviews. We learned especially that even after figuring out how to manage a mental illness, a lot of us remain stuck in our lives, stuck at the edge of the earth, without a map of how to get back. We hope that the words and voices of the people we interviewed will help us to begin to create that map.
We learned a lot from these stories and hope that you did too. We want to close with a sentiment expressed by one of our participants. She, like most people, felt that she had much to offer the community should she be given the opportunity to contribute. She said, I just want people that are going to listen to this to take into consideration that there is a whole population out there that is lost and needs more services for everything, housing, transportation. They could give back quite a bit to people, and people who have mental disabilities are pretty understanding and caring, more so than the general public.
Thank you for spending some time with us.